Hey, welcome back. I want to do a quick update. Again, this project is heading into the final couple days. I should have finished it already, but I just haven't gotten around to the final details. But I want to share a couple things. This was my strategy to take the bridge saddle adjustment screws and make them shorter because they were very uncomfortable. They were sticking up way too high. I've seen a lot of medium to cheaper guitars that have this, where the set screws stick out too far. So I got the right size nut. I clamped it in my vice grips. I took each screw out. I took one from each saddle, took all six, used the Allen hex head and screwed it into the nut in the vice grips, held it with the Allen wrench and the vice grips and ran it on my belt sander. I took about 2 millimeters off of 4 of them, and like 3 millimeters off the other 2, give or take a little bit. I wasn't super precise, but I took them all down. The shortest ones I put on the high E and the low E. A couple that were a little bit in between I put on the B, and then the longest ones I put on A, D, G. And it works really nice. They sit down almost flush. I also rounded the tops a little bit so anything that does stick up isn't as sharp anymore. They were really just rough screws. They're a lot nicer now. So that was my little plan for that. It worked out really well. The nuts cost like 15 cents at the hardware store. No problem. That worked really well. I couldn't find specifically sourced here 7 millimeter or 8 millimeter set screws. So I just figured I'll grind down the ones I have. Works like a treat. But the big thing in this video, I'm heading into the final electronics wiring. And then maybe finally I'll address the output jack. That was what started all this, and I haven't touched the output jack yet. But here's what we got. I've had these pickups for a while. Here's the thing I like about cheaper pickups. They have plastic bobbins instead of the old vintage bobbins. But the cool thing about plastic bobbins is these pickups came staggered with that extra high G pole piece. I don't like that. I also don't like perfectly flat pole pieces. I custom staggered these. I don't know if you can see very well. So I left the middle strings up a little higher. I brought the far E strings down a little bit. And all I did with that was a pair of slip joint pliers. And I very carefully, I think I put a steel BB on top of the poles. And just a little bit of pressure gets them loose. They're just held in there by friction and wax. Now again, if you have vintage pickups, don't do this. But if it has the plastic bobbins, the pickup rods sit inside a plastic sleeve in there. So they're insulated from the coils and all. So these, as far as I know, on plastic bobbin pickups, this is totally safe. I've done it a few times. So I'm not going for any kind of a crazy stagger. I just want the match to kind of like the neck radius. Whatever the neck's doing, I want the pickups to be radius kind of similarly. So they're not perfectly flat, but they're much flatter than your staggered pole pieces would be. So that's the first thing. The other thing with the pickups, I like this set, by the way. It's a Tex-Mex set. I talked about that in an earlier video. The bridge pickup is like 7.4K, which is like in Telecaster winding territory. These guys here that are in the 6s, a little hotter than I want, but they're in the 6s. I think it'll be good. I might run the neck pickup lower than I normally would. We'll see how that goes. But the bridge pickup's wound hotter, and it's going to get a base plate added, again, Tele style. This is just an electrical box cover from the hardware store. It cost like 90 cents, I think. I took an old pickup cover, put it on there, Sharpie. I'll take that and I'll cut it out roughly to size. I'll shape it in with I'll grind it on the belt sander and shape it in roughly to size. That's going to go right on the bridge pickup. A piece of masking tape and then a little bit of, some kind of an adhesive. You don't want it touching the pole pieces. You want something in between. There was some kind of a latex adhesive I used on another guitar. I forget what it's called. But that'll get glued on. It'll get grounded to the ground wire. And that'll set that all up. So now this thing's unwired. I got a regular 5-way switch, and here's what's going to happen here. 5-way switch, pretty standard Strat wiring there. It's It's going to go to the volume knob. From the output of the volume knob is where the tone's going to come in. That's 50s wiring. It's a little bit nicer than normal non-50s wiring, where the tone goes and loads the pickup. The tone's going to load the volume output instead. What that means is that when you wind the volume down, the tone has a different effect there. It's nice if you're playing a fuzz and you want to roll off the volume. It's nice if you don't want to put a treble bleed in, but it holds on to a little bit more clarity with the volume pulled back. So 50s wiring is going to go in one master tone, and that tone control is going to have a smaller cap than normal. I think I went to a 0.015 microfarad. Nanofarad. Oh, geez, which one is it? I forget. It's a little smaller than even what a Gibson would use. So I went to a smaller capacitor. Both of these pots are custom resistance. They're about 275 to 280K. The last pot here is a push-pull that I just got. That's going to be a dummy pot. I'm just going to use the push-pull to put a neck-on switch onto it. So this switch will be standard Strat, but the neck-on will kick the neck on, so I'll get bridge and neck, or in the second position, I'll get all three pickups. I really want to get that bridge neck on here. There's some other cool stuff that I would do if these were underwound pickups, like put a series switch in maybe, but I'm not going to bother with that on this guy. Let's see, what else is happening? I had also thought, this is a pretty standard old style Strat. You can buy the ones that have 5 positions and 4 separate poles, and then you can really get some cool pickup options. I did that on a couple of my guitars. I'm not trying to get that crazy here. I think I want, high value potentiometers. I want the smaller capacitor. I want it fairly Stratty, in terms of its other things it's going to do. And that's that. The whole pickup cavity, electronics cavity got shielded. So I'm going to ground the shielding then. And this will be just about ready to go then. It's getting near ready. So I'll be soldering things in place. I'll be mounting this back up. I'll probably do a little video about how I take the neck off to mount the pick guard back in without getting the strings messed up. They're still fairly new strings. So I'll show that. I'll get into a little bit of a video about how I do setup and the steps I'll go through to make sure everything's where I want it to be. And then it's going to be time to be playing this thing plugged in and see what it sounds like. I think that's about it for now. So things are moving here. I just need some time to do soldering. Can't do much else till that's done. So hopefully the next video has me mounting that pick guard back in. And that's about it for now. I gotta go get some chores done around here. Take care.